Anna, we are so excited to have you a part of the show. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am so good, Derek and Jade. Thank you so much for having me on today. I can't wait to talk to y'all.
Yeah,
Likewise.
and of course, and before we get started, our show is called the Wedding Winners Happy Hour. So we like to ask, what are you drinking?
Oh, I didn't even
Water.
think about that. Iced water. Yes, and I just finished my second coffee of the day. What about y'all?
I'm on my second coffee now. Can never have too much coffee.
Now I'm just on sparkling water.
That's my husband's favorite. How many sparkling waters a day do you drink, Derek?
Oh my God, I got probably like 10.
10, not that many, but we do like sparkling water.
Yes, what's your brand of choice?
What's this one called?
Usual,
Yes,
normal one.
Yes.
the little
Yeah.
Italian one, I'll call it.
Oh, it's delicious.
Well, before we get into the juicy stuff, let's take a moment to just introduce yourself. What do you do and how long have you been doing it?
Okay, well, I am, I'm a mom, a wife, an artist, a gardener.
Uh-huh.
So many things. But I would say my career profession is a photographer. I've been a wedding photographer for the past 15 years, give or take a few years. I was lucky enough to start in college, and I've been doing it ever since. Over the years, I've honed in on albums and curating albums, and that's kind of
Mhm.
become my specialty the
Mhm.
past few years. So I continue to shoot weddings. I do about 5 to 8 a year for various
Nice.
clients. And then, excuse me, a bug. Um, and then I devote all my other time to album curation and spending time with my family and in my garden.
We're so excited to get more into the wedding albums, but before we do, I gotta ask, because I know my photography friends want to know, what are you rocking in your camera bag?
So I'm doing the Sony A1, I believe.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
I'm not a gearhead. Like I am one of those people that I just like love what gear I'm working with, and I just kind of work with it. I shot on a Contax for a long time, and then I
Yeah.
recently switched back to all digital. So I'm rocking the Sony, and then some of my old. I'm all over the place right now. I'm having a good time. I have
Yeah.
a Sony, I have some of my old Canons, and then I have a Nikon like toy camera that I play with a lot. I have a good time with.
Oh, I gotta ask, are you still, so you're not doing film anymore?
Mm-mm.
What made the switch? Just too pricey for the film all the time, or just
Oh, so, okay, Derek, y'all can't make fun of me, but I feel like I've gone on like a journey, like a crunchy journey a little bit. And I started getting more and more into like gardening and composting and
yeah.
being more sustainable. And
Right.
I love film. I adore film. It is incredible. Um, but I feel like this path is a journey and we're always learning and growing. And so
Hmm.
for me, I learned so much about quality versus quantity with film. So I got my lesson
Big
from
time.
it and it taught me to slow down and I learned so much and I grew from it. But then there came a time when I just personally couldn't justify the amount of plastic and shipping materials and things that I was using. And so I switched back to all digital and I've really, really enjoyed it. I feel like the technology is kind of caught up to where they're very, very close.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what made me do the switch.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
super interesting. I still shoot film, yeah, the shipping and I just love it. I haven't
Yeah.
decided yet.
I mean, I still like I love to paint and I still paint. So like, if it's what you love, go for it.
Yeah.
But I just for me, that was one spot I was like, I can do different things. So I've been
Cool.
loving it. Yeah.
All right, Anna. So another one. What are your must-haves when you're working a wedding?
Okay, Jade might appreciate this. Derek, sorry for any of the male listeners. But my must-have, I can't do a wedding without my Spanx.
Okay.
And I have the
Didn't
kind that
expect that one.
I'm sorry, that's like if I could buy every female wedding vendor or something, it would be Spanx because the compression, I can shoot all day and never, my feet are never tired. It's
Hmm.
incredible.
Huh.
And even when I've been pregnant and shooting a wedding, the like supreme support it gives you from like your chest to your knees.
Yeah.
It's just, that's my one thing I can't shoot a wedding with. I know that's probably not like the thing you expected, but you know, you got to stay comfortable to do your best work.
Yeah, maybe
That's
I'll have to try that.
it's a big point. You do need to be comfortable. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know what drew you to photography at first, and what do you love most about it?
Yes, this is fun, Jade. Thank you. So I have an art degree, and I was always struggling because my heart has always been in service. I grew up in a tourism town, so my entire like high school or any work I ever did was with tourists, the tourism industry. And so I loved the service aspect and the customer service aspect. So I was trying to find a way to work in service and art. And I struggled because I love painting and I love creating, but photography was the one interjunction where I could create something that was really meaningful and served someone else.
Mhm.
And so for me, photography is the perfect marriage of service and art. And so I get to do two of the things that I love the most.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Super cool. We love hearing about how people got into the industry. So that's beautiful, Anna.
Yeah.
So another one that might create cause a little brain power. Here we go. Can you share a memorable experience from a photo shoot that you had that may have made like a significant impact on you? Or like a good one, a good impact.
Like, does it have to be wedding related or just photo?
It could be photo, just photo related.
So when I first started doing photography, um, I had someone reach out to me, and you know how sometimes you get like spam emails and it's hard to
Yeah.
tell.
Uh-huh.
I thought this was a spam email. And it was this girl telling me like her whole life story. And it was really meaningful and like kind of tragic and emotional.
Mm.
And she was terminally ill
Oh, wow.
and she wanted portraits with her family. That was like, and her story was kind of so out there. I was like, this is scam.
Yeah.
Like this is a scam. She's gonna like ask me to pay her $1,000. You know what I mean? I was like, this is
Yeah.
it. But the more I talked to her, I was like, okay, maybe it is. And I did a portrait session for her, and you know, everything checked out. And I didn't realize like how close she was to the end, but we
Oh,
just did
wow.
a session together with her and her sister and her dad. Um, and then she passed away like very shortly
Wow.
after the session.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and her dad wrote me an email, or he wrote me a letter and he sent me a few things, but just, sorry, it's kind of hard to put into words. Just like
Yeah.
understanding the impact that that had on their family because they didn't have any photos together. They were never like a family that took photos. So he mentioned those were like some of their only photos they had
Wow.
together and how impactful it was and just how much it meant to her. And the way that I was able to walk through that with that family and provide a service
Mhm.
that truly meant something and impacted their lives, I think that to me has been like one of my most impactful experiences as a photographer.
Dang. I'm about to cry over here. I felt that in my heart. My
And I
God.
don't mean to be morbid, but have you ever experienced this, Derek? Like, I've had so many people pass away after weddings, and then people reach out being like, do you have a photo of Joe or Sam? Or have you ever had that happen?
Um, I'm
I remember you
maybe.
telling me once about it,
Oh,
where
I have.
grandpa, but it was a few years.
Oh, yeah. The grandpa. Grandpas. It just shows how precious your photography, the capturing is. You
Yeah.
never know who's gonna be on.
There's so much value to it. So
Hmm.
as morbid as that is, it also makes me want to do a better job.
It was it was
I
beautiful.
can
That
have
was a
good
beautiful.
photos of all those people.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, to dive into a happier note, how do you find inspiration for your work? Like whether it's photography or any other creative thing you're creating?
Mhm.
Um, I find inspiration in a lot of ways. I would say being outdoors and in natural light, just being in the sunshine. I love the sunshine, but being in the sunshine with my family really inspires me, and like watching
Mm,
my children and the way that they move in the light. Um, when I became a mom, it changed the way that I saw what we do.
mm,
And I'm so inspired by my children because I remember that all my clients are someone else's child and they feel the same way I do about mine.
mm.
Um, and so I'm really inspired by my children. And I think that that carries through. It just makes me see how valuable our work truly is, because I value every photo I have of them so much. And I know that for every client that I'm working with, their parents are the same. So it's just given me a whole new meaning to my work.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So when you had kids, it just like opened up this whole new vision. You just like you see how
Yeah.
other moms are seeing their little ones. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
I like cry now at wedding receptions, whereas before I never did. And now I'm like, oh my God.
When like the little flower girl comes out, you're just crying up there taking the pictures.
Like, she's so cute. I was never one for like other people's kids before I had my own either,
Hmm.
so it's
Yeah.
funny how that works out.
So Anna, we all know that you are in the luxury space. So we want to ask,
Okay.
could you walk us through your creative process when it comes to capturing a luxury wedding? Like, has your approach evolved compared to when you first started capturing weddings?
Yes. Um, I think that when I first started, as we all are, you're learning and you're growing. I was so stuck mentally on like the checklist that I had to have in my head that I would often miss out on the really meaningful moments happening around me.
Mm,
And I feel like as I've grown as a photographer and artist, I've become better at recognizing when I need to step in and when I need to step back.
mm,
Um, and my work has evolved from, getting the shots that you have to get with any
yeah,
extras that might come along to focusing more on the emotional moments and giving those more value than any of the post shots.
yeah.
And so I feel like that has changed a lot over the last 10 years for sure.
Yeah, I definitely see that when it comes to the higher end photography is that you see more of, like you said, the editorial looking emotional action shots than more of just posed
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think
interesting.
there's so much value in like knowing when to step back. That's something I've noticed just by working with other people too, is being able to read the room and know when you can disappear into it or when you need to take the lead.
Dang, mind blown. Such an easy like just how to look at it, but it's so hard for like people to do it. I
Because
feel
you could,
like,
like you said, you could easily get caught up in the moment and the timeline and wanting to be here or there, but we're here for this, the
yeah.
Mhm.
emotion. And so being able to notice that, that is a big thing. Okay. And as far as like your day-to-day work life during the week, how do you balance the creative aspects of your work with the day-to-day demands of running a business?
Yes. I am a big fan of work smarter, not harder.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of the motto for my life. Um, I have to be incredibly efficient because I am a mother to two young, very active children. My husband also has a very full career. He's a videographer in the luxury
Cool.
space, a wedding videographer. So he
Hmm.
travels internationally very often. So it's a lot to manage. I think it's similar to understanding when to like take a step back. I have to be really cautious with my time and what I commit to and how I use it.
Hmm.
And so for me, I'm only able to accomplish about 2 to 3 hours of computer work a day.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know that, like, that's all my schedule allows for on top of everything else if I want to do it well. And so I have to understand that I have to work within those parameters. So that's kind of just what I have to do. And that's why I take so few weddings, because I want to give everyone the most energy that I can. and
Hmm.
provide the best service. And then also so I can stay re-energized and revived and feel good. And that's also why album sales have become so important too,
Hmm.
for not
Hmm.
only the service, but also for the way the profit is able to change my day in and day out in my office. But I stay really inspired. Y'all, I spend time in my garden and with my chickens every day.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering, how do you do this? Like you're just, in your garden, living your best life, spending time with your family. What's
Yes,
your
no,
secret?
that's what I do. Again, I have to do very few weddings. I had to cut out everything that wasn't like hitting the mark.
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
I had to cut out a lot of sessions. I don't do engagement sessions very often, if at all,
Hmm.
with clients because that was taking up, and not that I don't love them, but it was just taking up so much time. It made a lot more sense for me to be doing full wedding weekend events instead of
Mm.
like traveling somewhere for just an engagement session. Like that could easily take up 2 whole days in my calendar.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and it is very expensive for me to be away from my home.
I bet.
I know that. Um, so I just have to be smart about how I use my time. But I'm very inspired by my garden and I have my little routines. I'm kind of like an introverted little outdoorsy like hermit. Um, and I've just learned that about myself every day when I like drop my kids off and I come home and I do my rounds in our yard. And I like, feed and walk my dog, feed and check the
Yeah.
chickens. I walk up to the
Oh,
garden and pull some weeds and like pick my food for the day. So that's just kind of how I like roll through my life. Then I come and do my computer work and then move on with family tasks.
that's so cool. That's so cool. So you and your husband are both just in the wedding industry. That's so cool. Just like Jade and I love it.
Yeah, when I saw
Yeah.
that about y'all, I thought that was really cool. As y'all know, it's so fun, but it also comes with its own set of like
Hmm.
scheduling challenges and all of that good stuff.
For sure. So speaking of that, let's get back into the luxury market again, since you guys are both in that. What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced in establishing yourself in the luxury market, and how did you overcome them?
Our industry is a very noisy place. Um, and I think for the longest time, I felt a need in my head. I had this idea of what a luxury photographer was and what I needed to do to be that.
Mm.
But then I had to really reconcile that with what is important to me and my values, and then make adjustments to my expectations. So for instance, my husband's in the luxury space and he's traveling abroad and doing
Hmm.
weddings all over and doing these huge, gorgeous weddings, which is so wonderful. And I'm so proud of him. But for me, my goal is I love being a mother. Like I always want to be within driving distance of my children.
Hmm.
And I've realized if I can't work within those parameters, I get really anxious.
I
I
bet.
struggle to enjoy my work.
Hmm.
And so I've realized that I have to be within driving distance to my children and preferably on a weekend that my husband has off or my children are with one of our mothers. Um,
Hmm.
and if I can't meet that criteria, then I probably can't take it on. And so for me, I had to reevaluate what I thought was luxury. And I had to realize that I have to work in the Southeast and I prefer to work with people I know and I love.
Yeah.
So I've been really fortunate that I met a lot of planners. I feel like when we were all at very similar places in our careers and we all grew together. And
Hmm.
so now I have the opportunity to work with this handful of planners that know my work and my heart really well, and the same for them. And so am I like making connections and jet setting all over the place? No. I'm at home with my kids.
Mama
Happily
mode.
doing, yes, happily doing my 5 to 8 weddings a year. And all my clients are wonderful. Like they are people who align perfectly with my values. And so I think just having the mindset of quality over quantity and just really recognizing what success meant to me and what that looked like. Does that answer
Well,
your question?
yeah. What was
Yeah.
it like before the kids?
I took like any and every opportunity that came my way. because I love it, like I loved what I did. And so I would travel and do all the things with all the people. And it was great. And I loved it. And I'm really grateful for that chapter. But then as soon as I had kids, I just
Mhm.
had to make a lot of changes.
Of
Um,
course.
and they're changes I'm happy to make. There were some growing pains for a while.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna get into the wedding albums.
I know. I'm so interested. I know, Derek, you know a little bit about it, but this is all new to me and our audience. So can you just kind of introduce, like, how do you introduce the concept of wedding albums to your clients during your initial consultations?
Okay. During my initial consultations, well, can I just ask you guys this question too? Like,
Oh,
what is your favorite photo y'all have in your home together?
um, what do we have?
Probably where, oh, it's over our dining room
Oh yeah, it's
table.
just one of our wedding album photos where I'm like giving her the little dip.
Oh, that's so sweet. How big
Yeah.
is it? What does it look like? Tell me about it.
Like
What's
18 by 24, something like, or uh
like a big
this.
Yeah. And then did y'all ever get a wedding album? Or what did y'all do with your pictures after you got them?
Yeah, we did actually get an album.
I'm glad you got one though. That's the
Yeah.
important thing. So for me, it's really important. Um, okay, I have to like get my mind focused because there's so many different directions I could go off with.
Mm-hmm.
We are, I know you feel like we're artists, and what we do takes a lot of time and a lot of experience to create what we create.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a professor in college once, and I thought this was a perfect example. He was a ceramic artist, and that's something that's really undervalued a lot. Like a mug is a mug, you know? We would have that talk all the time. But he would make it a point to tell us, like, if an artist makes a mug and sells it for $70, you buy that $70 mug because you value the artist, you value their work, and you value what they put into it instead of
Mm-hmm.
just buying a $5 one from IKEA.
Yeah.
And that really stuck with me that like the work we produce is art that only we can produce. And there's not, in my opinion, this is my hot take, but I feel like our work is most valuable when it's printed and when it's seen in our home and when it serves the purpose of reminding people where our family became or started and our family and everything like that. And so I feel like there's so much value in printing your work. It's like drawing up house plans and never building the house. Like
Yeah.
Right.
I just feel like that's what albums are for. They're there to put that beautiful work in your home that you worked so hard for. You worked with a planner and a designer and
Mm-hmm.
a photographer, and then you had this beautiful emotional day. So it's really important to me to start talking with my potential clients with that right off the bat. And I very easily throw it into my conversation. It's never anything that feels really salesy. Um, as I'm going through my interview questions with my potential clients, I'll ask them that same question I asked you. I'll say, like, what's the favorite photo in your home?
Mm-hmm.
And that tells me so much about the way they value photography and what they hope to use it for.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people, when I've asked that question, I've had people say, I don't have any photos on my walls. Like, I don't like photos on the
Oh
wall.
God.
And I was like, cool. I might not be available anymore.
Oh dang.
So
Or you
it's,
take it as a challenge.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Um, and so I think that asking my clients those questions, and then I also ask them, like, what do they hope to do with their photos once they receive them? And that gives me just a peek into, like, are they just going to share these on social media and then forget about them, or are they
Mm-hmm.
actually going to do something with it? So that's my first touch point with my potential clients
That's good. I
about,
like that. You're just kind of like creeping in there to see what they're thinking. It's like these
yeah.
little questions are just triggering a little answer. Be like, all right, I'm getting somewhere. I could get them on an album. We're going somewhere. I like
Mhm.
that. That's nice.
And start getting them to think about, like,
Yeah.
the end result. Like after the wedding, your wedding's already done and you have the keepsakes of your photos. So
Yeah. And like, again, what else are you going to do with them? That's what I'm just like, I don't know where my hard drive is from 5 years ago.
Yeah, for real. So here's a good question that the clients might be thinking and vendors. But so how do you educate the client about the benefits of high quality wedding albums compared to just getting the digital only package?
So for me, whenever I'm talking with them at my initial consults, my goal is never to sell them an album right away. I prefer to sell that after the wedding.
Okay.
And so to me, I'm just asking if they're interested in it. I'm getting their feelings, when I ask those questions to people, a lot of times they'll be like, my parents had this wedding album I've always flipped through, or they'll share something really personal in their response to the question. So I just kind of file that away and I let them know that they're making so many decisions right now. Like there's no need to worry about it too much. You don't have the bandwidth to decide size and color. So we love doing album consults with our clients 2 weeks after we deliver the full gallery.
Okay.
And that is a time for us to sit down, go over the gallery, answer any questions that they may have, and then also help them get their photos off of their computer into their home. And that's one of our
Yeah.
favorite parts of the process because that's seeing all the work come to life. And I just share that with them on the call. And they're all like, oh, that sounds amazing. Like, I'd love to do that. Right, mom? Right. Like, right, Joe? Like, and so it just gets that idea in their head and that process too. So that's how I like set them up for it.
So that you give them like a call after the wedding, and then you guys are you like talking about like, oh, I had such a blast with your wedding, and you
Yeah.
guys are amazing, and here's
So,
the album.
okay, I have a lot of different things to my process that I do. They're very easy and super simple to integrate, and I can
Yeah.
share them with you now if you want me to like go through the bullet points with you.
Oh wait, hold on. We'll see. You might be like knocking out all of our questions if we do that. Hold on. Let's see. Go for it, Jay.
Okay. So I have my interview call with them. So I see if they align with like my values, their values. And I have told people I don't think we'd be a great fit before. Like if
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that is a great service to the client. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they're not excited about me and I'm not excited about them, like
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know. You can't do your best work.
It's true.
So I would encourage photographers, if you have the bandwidth to do that, if you have the freedom to do that, to do it, because you will produce much better work. So the initial interview is my first like breadcrumb, getting it in their mind. And then if you send out questionnaires, if you're at that point with your clients where you're sending out like wedding day questionnaires, my last question is always, would you like to set up a photo consult 2 weeks after you receive the gallery? If so, here's a link to our offerings so that you can start like daydreaming what you'd like in your home. And I provide like a link to all my investment information. So a lot of times my clients will say yes or no there. And then I know, okay, this is something they really want to do, and I will take the energy to schedule the call later. So I do that before the wedding. After their wedding, I always send a thank you email and let them know what to expect. And so in that thank you email, my last bulletin point is, if you need something to tide you over, check out our offerings. And again, like think about what you would like to see in your home. And so I have another link to my information page there. And I am very transparent with pricing because I never want to sticker shock anyone. And so that way that gives them an opportunity to get used to my offerings and to understand where they fall in the investment spectrum as well.
So cool. I just love hearing the vendors talk about their process, man. It's so, I'm just like taking it all in, soaking it in the brain.
It's super easy. After I like send them their gallery, I let them know I'll be reaching out to get their feedback and like set up this appointment with them. And so 2 weeks after they get their gallery, I just send them like hey, it's time for our meeting. Like, here's my little Google Calendar link, and they sign up and they invite mom or husband or spouse or whoever to come join. And we do the meeting, and it's great. I've learned so much from those meetings. Like, it has truly helped me become a better service provider, or not service. It's helped me hone my customer service skills
There you go.
and
So,
become a better artist.
yeah. So another question I believe photographers would like to know is, like, do you include wedding albums in your photography packages, or do you offer them as an add-on? And what are the advantages of your chosen
Mhm.
approach?
So I always add them as an add-on after the fact, but I think it's understanding the market that you're in and who's paying for the wedding,
Yeah.
honestly. Because if parents or if someone else is paying for the wedding, then it's smart to include it at the beginning because then it's underneath their ticket, you know?
Right.
But if you wait until after an album or after a wedding and the parents paid for the whole wedding, the bride or the groom or the client, whatever you'd like to say, is they might not have the resources to pay for an album. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know
So
Jade
I
does for
think
sure.
So do you just kind of feel it out like in your consultation, like if they really want an album and their parents are paying for it?
yeah, like once I had someone's assistant call me and book me for this wedding that was being planned. And it was like a distant family member that was booking and paying for everything. And this was a huge wedding.
Oh wow.
And so I knew like if they're getting an album, this is who I need to sell it to. So I
Yeah.
made the recommendation to them and I was able to sell an album. But I understood like the people who are actually having the wedding aren't going to have the resources to purchase this album. Um, I I don't think there's any, I think it's just being very aware of your clientele and
Hmm.
your clients and just being aware and like knowing who's paying. And I've even like when I ask with planners, sometimes I'll even ask like, are the is the couple paying for this or is this like
That's a
family
good
money?
question.
How, and I do it in a way that's approachable and kind, and it's in hopes to serve my clients better, but it helps me
Mhm.
understand those types of questions as well.
I have so many questions from that whole answer. So, when you find out that it's not the bride and groom, how are you getting in contact with like the parents for the albums or whoever it is that's paying? Are you asking the planner like, "Hey, is it okay if I reach out to this person?" Or do you still
You mean
speak
like
with the bride and groom?
afterward
Yeah, afterwards for the
for
for
the
the
design?
yeah.
The bride and groom,
Okay.
it's always who I do the consult with.
Okay.
Whoever the album is for is who I do the FaceTime consult with.
Okay. And
Because
then
time is made for like making all of the final design decisions.
I like that you mentioned that you don't put your albums in your packages because sometimes I think I've had it a long time ago where I had a wedding album in my package and they're like, if we take out the wedding album, will that lower the price? I'm like,
Mhm.
God, you know? So you're right. You got to fill the clientele and market, I guess.
And too, I feel like it's so easy for them and us to forget about if it's
Hmm.
like added at the beginning. And so I just like doing it all at once.
Yeah,
Or
I
like,
love it.
at the end, like doing all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fun stuff together.
Okay, Anna, what strategies have you found most effective for upselling wedding albums and encouraging your clients to choose a higher end option?
I think you have to walk a fine line between understanding what people are willing to pay for and when they start to feel like you're price gouging them. Uh,
Mm,
so with my albums start at their 20 spreads and that's
mm,
40 pages. And that is perfect for like a smaller scale wedding day. That will cover that beginning to end, no problem. But if we're getting into like a 3-day celebration where there's a rehearsal dinner, a welcome party, a full 10-hour wedding day with like 20 people wedding party, and then
yeah.
a brunch on Sunday, like that needs to be 40 pages. Like it needs to be as big as it can be. And so I just make recommendations to my clients the same way. I let them know, like, hey, our albums start like all the pricing you've seen is for the 20
Hmm.
spreads. But we recommend that you add on anywhere from 5 to 20 more, and I'm very specific about like the rehearsal dinner was so much fun and there were so many emotional moments. So I recommend that we add anywhere from 2 to 6 spreads for this. And
Mm.
I recommend that we add 2 to 4 spreads for the brunch. Like I'll be very specific and walk with them through it. And then I'll let them know. I, again, always like to be transparent with numbers. And so I'll let them know like it's $175 extra per spread. What
Hmm.
are your thoughts?
Yeah.
And I always want to hear what they have to say. And I've had clients say, give me every page I can fit in that book, like
Dang.
in a heartbeat. And then I've had other people be like, oh, we're going to stick with the like 20 for now. And if things change with our finances, we'll like add more. And so I think it's just your clients just need to be educated and informed, and you need to be really clear about everything. So spreads is really the only way that I upsell my clients. And I only try to upsell someone if I genuinely think they need those extra spreads.
Yeah.
But I don't charge for like differences on the cover
Yeah.
or other things like that, because I just felt when I first started doing this, if I felt a little tension, like my clients were confused as to why like a picture on the cover would cost different than like their name. You know what I mean? Like there was
Yeah.
confusion, and I never want my clients to feel that. So I only charge more for more spreads, and I do it on my initial call. Um, and I don't do it necessarily after unless they specifically ask for it. Does that make sense? Because I know a lot of people will design like a 40-page album and then be like, okay, tell me what 20 you want to cut if you want them
Yeah.
to, which I think is, a unique strategy in and of itself. But for me, I've just found it works better if I talk people clearly through everything.
That's actually a good question that you brought up, or a good thing you brought up. So when have you ever had couples say, hey, can you actually put in something else, not this photo, instead of
Oh,
like, yeah, oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, this is a really good example. I once thought this old guy at a wedding reception was like super tight family member.
Oh
Turned
yeah.
out it was like distant business partner of the father who
Uh,
like they had to invite.
Oh yeah.
And this guy was in like every other reception photo, just like
Nice.
one of those guests.
They're like, who is
So I
this?
had an album reception design like full of this guy. And they're like, hey, these are great photos, but I don't want this guy in my album.
Yeah, get
And
this guy out.
so that was really funny to me. But I also with my clients, whenever I'm doing these calls, I talk them through, do you want to choose your photos or would you like us to
Okay,
look
yeah.
for highlights? And then they make a decision and I talk them through that.
Nice.
Um, Typically, I use the highlight section and we
Yeah.
design the album, and then we have the software where we'll send them the proofing link and they can like
Mm.
flip through the album online and enter any changes that they would like. It's really important that you give your clients parameters to work within. And
Yeah.
so let them know, like, we need these revisions back in 2 weeks or we will move on and have
Hmm.
your album printed. So if you want the input, you got to put it in. And they can enter anything that they would like there. They get 2 rounds of revisions.
There you
And
go.
anything after that, there's an additional design fee.
Hmm.
So that helps people be really concise and make their decisions. And we also let people know, like, we want you to love this as much as we do. So please give us all the feedback you can.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
That was perfect answer.
Yeah, and it sounds like you really nailed down like the design process and the whole process about wedding albums. So is there anything you can share, like, for example, like what software you use to design these and like how other photographers can design and present albums to appeal to their
Yeah.
couple?
Mm.
So if you're just getting started in albums, I love Kiss Books. They're some of my favorite album makers. There are a lot of wonderful album makers out there. So I recommend that photographers do their research, see who they align with. I started using Kiss, and so I've just stayed with it. And they actually have software built into their website where you
Oh.
can import the photos, like the highlights or whatever,
Hmm.
and then design directly in their software. And you can even go through the proofing process with your client in their software, which is really cool. Because if you're just starting, you don't want to have to pay for software and like all this extra stuff.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. You can do it all directly in there and then submit it to print in there as well. We we do a lot of albums, and so we use very special software. And I cannot think of the name of it, Derek. This is terrible. I should be ready with all of this.
No, you're
Uh,
good.
but I can get it for you. But it's wonderful. And it's just like the KISS software, but like what you'd imagine if you were paying for something instead of getting it for free. Just
Mhm.
faster and better. And
Oh, just all the
The
things.
next level.
A secret software. Secret software, people. Secret software. Was
It's
it Fundy?
Pixeloo. Yeah, it's Pixeloo. Like
Oh,
that's
Pixel.
their part of their brand. I don't know. I'll send it to you. Let me, Isabel, I look it up right now. This is
Yeah,
so
go for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay. Oh,
Pixeloo.
smart albums. That's it.
What was it?
Smart albums.
Smart albums.
Smell some Pixeloo.
Smart albums. Pixeloo smart albums.
There it is.
Guys, it's so
Perfect.
fast. I can't say enough good things about it. It's insane. You're like, if you think album designing is annoying or frustrating, you get this and you're like, oh wow, this is so fun. Like I just get to like drop and drag and snap everything into place. And it's really fun.
It's like the AI of wedding album creation. That thing.
No, it's not like that. Like I visually like pick all the things,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just really fast. But they probably have an AI version. You could probably ask it to make your own album.
It's just crazy. That's so cool. All right, so I know clients or our vendors also want to know like what are some common objections clients have about purchasing wedding albums and how do you address them?
I mean, some people just don't value them, which
Yeah,
is
point blank.
well, I just mean the same way. Like, it's just not important to some people, and
Mhm.
that's perfectly fine. Like, designer handbags aren't important to me, so
Mhm.
like we all have things that are important, and I'm not going to yuck someone else's yum. Like, if you don't want an album, that's fine. But I think that's why it's so important to understand your clientele.
Mhm.
Huh?
Get chit chatty over here about it. It's just really important to understand your clientele and to know if it's important to them or not. And that's why in my initial interview questions with clients, I think it's so important. And if I don't align with someone, then we might not be the best fit. And I think that's why I'm able to have such great album sales is because from the get-go, I'm aligning myself with people who have similar values.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. Yeah, that's good.
Are there any new strategies or innovations you plan to implement in your wedding album offerings to even further enhance client satisfaction?
Um,
Sounds like you pretty much nailed it all.
y'all, I have so much fun with this. And like I said, it's so neat too, just to talk to your client at the end of the experience because I didn't get that before I did this, like to have a
Yeah.
closeout with the client. And so I think everyone should just be doing it to learn how they can be better. Like I was always so nervous because I didn't want to hear my client's criticism of me. Like that was one of my biggest fears in my head was like, oh, they're going to tell me everything I did wrong or everything I missed or like they're not going to like something. You know what I mean? Like I think as artists, we have that inner like voice where we think our work is the worst.
Yeah.
Um, and so for me, it really changed the way I viewed what I did when I got to like look eye to eye with my clients after and like hear what it meant to them and then also what I could learn to do better.
Hmm.
Like one client was like, why are all my reception photos so grainy? Like,
That's
as
the
if
film look.
I know.
Art.
And I was like, oh, like that was an aesthetic choice. Like I
Yeah.
explained it to her, but then I was like, oh, I need to be showing more like reception work in my portfolio,
Yeah.
And so it just helped. Again, everyone comes to everything with like the meeting with such a kind heart. And so if I ever learn, which I often learn things I can do better, it's always with like kindness and not criticizing me, but more so just helping me learn ways I could be better. Like, for instance, one mom was really sad. I didn't have a photo of the aunt and the bride. And I was talking with her and I was like, oh, well, what could I have done differently? You know what I mean? Like, how can I improve?
Yeah.
Uh, and she was like, oh, no, it's not you. Like, I should have asked for it and I didn't.
Mhm.
And so then I was like, well, if people feel that way, like, what can I do to change it? Like, how can I be better? And so from now on, I've started asking both the moms, like, hey, I have a family shot list I'm sticking to, but if you see or think of anything throughout the day, like, come grab me and let me know. Like, I would love to
Yeah.
get it. And
Yeah.
now I tell all my clients that. And I'm like, okay, at least I know I have that covered. If they do forget a photo, then I know at least I tried.
Yeah. That's true. That's so good to I'm gonna steal that, Anna. I'm gonna start telling mamas, hey, if there's any photos, please let me know. And then I'm just gonna be like this golden photographer to them, and they're gonna rant me to their friends, and we have millions of bookings.
And
Perfect.
Derek, if you really want to like save your time too, be like, oh, I have the family shot list we'll stick to during the family portrait
Yeah, I
time.
liked how you
But if
planted
there's
that
anything
nugget.
else you want, like I'll be at the reception and the cocktail hour, like please grab us then, like because then
Yeah.
keep in your family portrait time safe if you only have like 10 minutes, but
Yeah.
still serving them and giving them that opportunity.
I
I
love
love
that.
it. Yeah, Jay loves that too because the planner brain in her, she's like, you better stick on that timeline.
Yes.
All right, Anna. So I want to go. No, so this is your little. I want to know the secret sauce. Break it down to the your golden wedding album bullet points that you have for the albums. Go for it.
Yeah. So my secret sauce would just be understanding your clients and where they are in that moment of their life too, when they're speaking with you. So often we look at everything through our own lens and not other people's. And so if someone's not interested in an album, don't feel disheartened. Know that it might be their current situation. There have been so many times that I have tried to walk someone through the album process and then hit a wall, and I didn't understand why. I thought that, like, oh, I dropped off or I did something incorrect. And then I find out a year later that they lost their job and then realize they like didn't have the resources to pay for an album. But then a year later, they come back and they're like, I'm so sorry I fell off. Like, I'm ready to move forward now.
Yeah.
And so I think just serving your clients with a helping and caring heart and understanding that you're just trying to offer the best service that you can. And if they move forward with it or not, isn't a reflection of you as an artist, that you're just here to provide and walk your clients through this. And
Go for it.
you need to offer the service and know that you're doing it for your client's best interest. And if they don't move forward, then you at least know that you tried and that you gave them the opportunity to do it if it is something that's important to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
That makes perfect sense. We love it.
I could share so many stories with people that I like thought had ghosted me, and then they showed up a year later and they were like, I'm ready now. And I'm like, what? Like, I thought you
like,
me.
like, whoa. Do you put an expiration on your galleries?
Yes, I do. And I think everyone should.
Yeah.
It's very important. I say a year in my contract, and it's not like I delete their files from the face of the earth after. I mean, I archive it, but I think that all clients need an expiration date just to ensure that they actually do something with their photos, even if that means them like backing it up themselves. So yeah, I do offer. Do you guys offer an expiration?
I do. I do
What's
the
it?
year. I do the year one too. I put it on there. I feel like that's a good buffer time for them to do whatever they need. That's plenty of time.
Anything after a year or two, people are moving on. Like they're
Yeah.
buying houses, they're making babies, they're
They're moving on with their life, people.
yeah.
That's crazy. So, Anna, is there anything else about the wedding album sales that people should be aware of or know that you feel that's important?
I think first, just to come at everything with a service-oriented heart
Okay.
is very important. Just that you're coming at this with the intention of helping your client, and providing a better experience for them. I think that that's the most important thing that you could do. I could talk about albums for days. Like,
Yeah.
I have a course on album sales, like the sale process. I also have templates that walk our clients through every step of the process. So I don't know about y'all, but that's a lot of like mental work with
Yeah.
visual artists to like write all these emails. So I have the templates that are from beginning to end that people can purchase. And then I also am working on a little e-course on how I actually design the albums quickly and efficiently.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
So those are
And
my
I'll
other-
put that PDF, your link that people could purchase it, in our show notes.
Awesome. That would be great.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So we like to also move on to this game we like to call this or that.
Okay.
All right. So it's just we give you a question and you just give us the answer.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. All right. Let's go.
Wedding cake or dessert bar?
I can't have gluten, so I never get to eat any of it. Ice cream, is that an option? Cake if I could have it.
Yes, we'll say ice cream.
Prime lens or zoom lens?
Prime.
You go.
First look or traditional aisle reveal?
Whatever the client wants. Whatever they want's fine with me.
Natural light or artificial light?
Natural.
Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
All black and white or vibrant photos?
Black and white, I would choose just because it's timeless. I
Yeah.
feel like it'll wait 100 years if it's black and white. So,
Yeah.
Brunch or dinner?
brunch.
Endless camera memory or endless camera battery?
Battery.
There you go.
Road trip or plane ride?
Maybe plane ride.
Candid moments or posed shots?
Handed, for sure.
Wine or cocktail?
Ooh, a dirty martini. So, cocktail.
Okay, film camera or digital camera?
Digital.
Espresso or drip coffee?
Espresso.
Rules of third or golden ratio composition?
Golden ratio.
Oh, fancy.
Intimate or large wedding?
Oh, they both have a great place, but I think intimate is more like my personal vibe.
Yeah. And the last one, wedding album or digital gallery?
Wedding album.
Yeah. So good. So good.
Oh,
And
this-
Anna, yeah. And our last question we like to ask every guest on our show, if you could choose any superpower to have while working a wedding, what would it be and how would it help you?
if I didn't have to like eat or drink or go to the bathroom, if you didn't have to do any of the like human necessities on a wedding day, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. No, that would be very helpful.
Like, I think that that would be great. That would be my superpower. Now I'm curious what other people have said.
Oh, there's been some fun.
You got to listen to
It's
that.
yeah, it's so good. I love these. I love the answers when it comes to the superhero power.
What would yours be, Derek?
Oh God. Mine would be I like the one where people said that you could teleport anywhere.
That's a good
So I
one.
could, yeah, just like if a ceremony, okay, poof. It's like if it's in the way in another venue,
Yeah.
come back over here. Yeah, that would be cool.
Or one person said like basically clones of themselves so you can be in multiple places at different times.
Okay, those are really good answers. Jade, what's
Yeah.
yours?
Both of those would be basically everyone's answers would be helpful. I don't know.
Honestly, it's a struggle on a wedding day. Like you're thinking about everybody else and everything else, you know? So the
Yeah.
wedding day hangover is real.
It's true. It's so real. And then Anna, before you go, where can our listeners find you?
Oh, my Instagram is at Anna Shackleford, and my name is spelled ANNASHACKLEFORD. Fun story. I actually misspelled my last name for like the first month we were married. And now I have to like make sure I tell other people how it's spelled too. And my website is just my name, annashackleford.com.
All right. Anna, it's been such a pleasure having you on our podcast today. Your insights into wedding albums, upsells, and strategies have been incredibly valuable, and I know our listeners are going to gain so much. Thank you.
Gosh, thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. And I'm just grateful I had time to get to know you guys better and talk with you.